Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you all here this morning at the facility of Springbok. Mark, my vriend, ek wil jou graag spesiaal hierso welkom. Voor ons enigiets anders te doen, wil ek graag weet, wat het jy gedink toe jy hier inry en jy het 'n marshaller en 'n pilot uniform?
Ek was weggeblaas. Dis die eerste ding. En die tweede ding is dis 'n vorige gesagvoerder van my wat my marshaller is vandag. Ek wil vir jou sê jy het een keer op 'n 340 het jy 'n gradering van my gedoen wat ongelooflik moeilik, maar ongelooflik regverdig. Jy sal onthou ek het ingestap en gesê vir my, you don't have to do this. Onthou jy?
Ja.
En dan sê dan gonna do it from really. Okay. And you were incredibly fair. I learned so much from the 737 and on the 80 and on the 747. So the fact that you are here today is just the most, it's full circle. We've gone full circle. And it's people like you that are legends in aviation that have made, that has actually made everything worth it at the end of the day. And this, to me today, this is just the most unbelievable end of my career.
Well, thank you very much for the very kind words, Mark, but the day is supposed to be yours.
Yeah, well, you're very instrumental in my career.
Thank you so much. I would like to point out that there's different important days in a person's life, but in the life of an airline pilot, there are three very important days. It's the day that you start in the airline, that you actually do your first flight, which is normally an overseas flight. The second day is when you get your command as a captain and you do your first flight as a command. And most definitely, the last flight that you do, normally you have an opportunity to do the flight with your loved ones and the people that are important in your life. And it's a flight that you do to the destination of your choice. Mark, you were deprived of it. And I think without turning negative and so on, the events over the last decade and a half, 2 decades, was upsetting from all angles. If we saw what was coming, we were predicting what was coming, and that you were actually deprived of this opportunity to do your last flight. I feel so strongly about it that when we were approached, Peter and myself, with the idea of giving you the opportunity to do a proper last flight, I jumped at it. And this morning, Floyd, my wife, and Peter were standing around the stove in our house there in Lakeview. And Peter, Floyd and myself were there. Peter walked in the door from her house next door, and she was in this beautiful uniform that I've known her, you know, flying for SA. And I said to her, before I even said to her, good morning, Peter, I said, stuff them. We are going to do it in our uniform, and no matter what. And here we are. I want to, ek wil 'n paar gedagtes met jou 'n bietjie wissel. Jou en my pad gaan ver terug. Ek kan spesifiek onthou dat ek en jy saam op 737 is.
Ons het toetsvlug gedoen in
Langebaan, ja, met die Omega. En toe ons opgestyg het, het ons so 'n bietjie vinnig toe ons almal gedink het nog ons is bulletproof. En so het ons deur die hele redery gegaan. En dis vir my natuurlik 'n wonderlike voorreg om hier te staan en om te weet dat jy weet ek en jy het van daar af, van juniors af deurgegaan, en ek het op die einde I fell off the presieperseeling was presies nie en jy het op die ou en die agter was jy nommer 1.
Ek is nommer 1.
Nommer
Ek het as
1.
nommer 1.
Wat 'n absolute wonderlike voorreg.
Met 625 meter.
625 vlieëniers was jy nommer 1.
Hulle sê 2% van lugdiensvlieëniers ooit in hulle lewe word. Ek is gelukkig.
Ja, ek is baie kwaad vir Lorrie Raad uitgesê. As nommer 2. Hoorie so man, ek wil jou graag die geleentheid gee om vir ons miskien te vertel van jou hoogtepunte in die week. Ons weet nou van die eerste vlug, die eerste kaptein. Hierdie kops, they are noisy, they vibrate, you let go the stick and crashes.
I was a boy pilot for only 7 weeks.
Yeah.
I did 9 flights, and my very first flight in the airline was on Helderberg. And 7 days later, the Helderberg was lying 4.5 kilometers under the Indian Ocean. My second flight was to London, getting to London with Chester Chandler, getting airborne out of Seoul Island. Our number 2 engine destroyed itself. That was my second flight. And while we were waiting at Seoul Island, we got news of the Helderberg that had gone.
Maar
Yeah. I became a check captain on Boeing 737s. So I was a check captain for just over 3 years. I did the very last A300 flight to Cape Town.
my goodness.
Managed with 192 passengers. We were allowed to take off and give them a flight pass, which was absolutely fantastic. So that was I was fortunate in being able to do that. I became a check captain, a senior check captain on A340s and on A330s. Then just a few things that happened to me, I think that I've mentioned. In 1998, I flew a heart down to Cape Town for a heart transplant. I literally had the heart in the cockpit, and I had to take it out of the ice 7 times and turn it.
My goodness.
I met the recipient, and every year on the anniversary of the heart transplant,
Which was
I
what day?
give her a call, which is the 19th of June 1998.
Come on.
That is today.
Today.
That's today.
Today.
How wonderful.
Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. In 2014, I was the commander of the airplane that flew to New York that had that very, very bad turbulence.
Yeah.
Where we had carried 21 passengers off the airplane on stretchers. 3 years later, I was airborne out of Hong Kong, and we got smoke in the cabin. And one of the passengers was on my turbulence flight.
Oh my word.
Yeah.
So you were that like
Yeah. And then, apart from ending as number 1 in the airline, I ended as the most senior check captain as well.
Wonderful.
Which was the highlights, I think, were the people that I met in the 33 years that I was in the airline. I'm ending a flying career of 44 years. Just short of 24,500 hours, 10,200 hours on Airbus 340s, and on Boeing's just over 10,000 hours.
Wonderful. What a wonderful career.
For our friends here who don't know it, I was shot and wounded in a Cessna 185 in Angola in the war, the day before my 21st birthday, and I still have the bullet in my neck.
So you're bulletproof.
I'm bulletproof. Yeah. So I've had a fairly colourful and interesting career, and the people have been absolutely magnificent. I've been a mentor to a number of co-pilots and to a number of junior captains, and that in itself, as you know, is so rewarding. Absolutely, so rewarding. You know, when I knew I wasn't going to fly anymore, I came home one day, and there was a 2.1 meter framed uniform with my wings, my own permit, with a 747 and an A340, with all my hours, with a little plaque. My thing was, come fly with me. and she put that on for me, and some of the most memorable photographs of my career.
Ah, wonderful.
So she
Oh,
did that, and because I knew I wasn't going to get a last flight, I decided to commemorate my career with a gold and diamond ring. But you will see just now, it's got a laurel wreath, there's a diamond, and it has wings.
Oh, no way.
And on the inside, I've had engraved 1976 to 2020, which is the span. And I haven't worn it, and she hasn't seen it. In closing, I'd just like to say, you are all very, very special. You will always be a part of the end of my career. 44 years of the most unbelievable experiences, 625 overseas flights, 18.5 million kilometers, 550,000 passengers, and I've flown the equivalent of the distance to the moon 24 times there and back.
Unbelievable.
So I just want to say to you all, thank you so much. This is just the most unbelievable, special climax.
And it's not ending yet.
Marcus,
You still need to go and fly.
If it hadn't been for COVID, who knows, what would have happened and so on. So, but I want to tell you, I've done my last scheduled flight with SAA 5 weeks ago. And believe me, there's definitely life after airline flight. There's so much that we can do still in life that is rewarding. You know that you are going to fly with me.
I hope so.
Okay. So you're officially part of the crew today. And you are officially going to do your last flight with me.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Wonderful.
For the flight today, we might be taking off this way depending on the wind, but if not, we'll be taking off on the long runway. Runway 29 is and go straight out towards Wemmerpan. You know where Wemmerpan is? And then Terfontein Racecourse. And then around Gold Reef City, Soccer City on the left, up over Northcliffe Rail Hill towards the Dome. And then we'll follow the N1 around towards Megawatt Park at Bakru, and then back all around Skulpville, Sandton, and then back over Ellis Park and back to Langton.
Net soos wat ek en jy in my lewe was daar iemand hier so, wat een van my studente, in al my loopbaan, is daar een student van my is.
Nooit.
Ja.
En dit is?
Daai man.
Is dit?
Ja. Ons het die hele paar jaar het ons gespook om in die lugdiens te kry, en toe hulle besef, toe hy inkom te besef hulle het 'n fout gemaak om nie te vat. Want hy was 747-400 PI en hy was 727's gery.
Ja.
En toe hy 737's toe ek hom solo gestuur.
Mooi man.
Ja, en hy woon eintlik hier by ons met hy se kollegas. Staan hier en sê dit gaan alles vandag oor. En ja, dit was 'n voorreg om saam met jou te vlieg. Net soos my pa vir my 'n mentor was deur my hele loopbaan. En hierdie tyd wat ek spandeer het, soos jy sê, ek het my laaste vlug saam met jou op my laaste check ride saam met jou gedoen en dit was 'n fantastiese ondervinding geweest. Dit was baie lekker. Niemand van ons het geweet. Dit sal die laaste check ride wees wat ek doen nie. En ek het net goeie herinneringe van dit. Ons het 'n fantastiese tyd gehad met daai vlug. En dit was baie besonder. En ja, dankie ook vir wat jy in my lewe beteken het. En vir ons as die jonger generasie wat deurgekom het.
Baie dankie.
En ja, dankie dat jy ons die geleentheid gegee het om vandag.
Ek sê vir julle dankie. Dit is absoluut wonderlik. Dit is 'n ongelooflike voorreg om my loopbaan so te kan eindig.
Regtig, ek dink ook so, maar jy weet, dit is vir ons 'n plesier om dit te doen.
Baie dankie. En ek wil weer eens sê, herdenk jy.
Ja.
Hy's 'n eis.
En eintlik moet Hermine ook hier staan, want sy is ook deel van SAL.
Ja,
Sy is deel van die
hy's 'n
bestuur vir al die jare.
Vir die van julle nie weet nie, she's just ended a 32-year career with SAA.
Ja, so.
And she's about to start a career with me.
Ja, so die volgende rooi boksie is joune vriende.
Mark, die taxi briefing is soos daai vliegtuig net gaan ons regs uit taxi kyk hier binnekom. Jy sien hier binnekom is op ander man een. So ons gaan uit taxi na gaan ons verklaring moet kry oor ander ons
Busy, okay.
You were robbed from your last flight with SAA. Now, how does it really feel after eventually having a last flight?
Absolutely stunning. Awesome. Wonderful. It was a surprise from the beginning to the end. And it was just the most amazing thing to be at the controls of a piston engine aeroplane after 35 years. The landing was fantastic.
But you know, I've got cataracts.
And then of course the climax was, I didn't expect the fire tenders to be
there. Absolutely, with the water cannon and all.
Fantastic. I'll never ever forget this.
Listen,
thank you.
There's life after SAA.
Absolutely. You've just proven
Enjoy it. Yes.
Thank you.
Hoe voel dit om in 'n vliegtuig te wees wat ek gevlieg het? Want jy ken my as 'n vriendier, maar ek het nog nooit gevlieg saam met jou. Hoe voel dit?
Dit was bijzonder speciaal.
Dit was. Ek wil net vir jou dankie sê vir die ongelooflike verrassing, die voorreg en die ervaring wat ek nie gedink het ek gaan hê. You are the most unbelievable presence